How's it going, Isaac?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Where are you coming from?
I'm hailing down from Connecticut right now.
Oh, very nice. I'm also on the East Coast. I'm down in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
Yeah. So my first question for you, obviously it's been a long time since you shot this film, about 3 years, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. So has your perception or understanding of anything about the film or your character, has anything changed from when you first started to who you are now?
Well, definitely. I think probably, even more so than someone who is in their 40s and then is talking about a film that they did 3 years ago, because, I don't even, a lot of times I have even a hard time knowing who the person is on the screen that is in that film. But the one thing that will never change is, my belief about that character, that sad little confused boy who's just trying to navigate himself. And
Mhm.
that's because I relate to that now. I still a lot of the time find myself always trying to figure out life, like
Mhm.
to that degree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, his character just, I mean, your character just transcends, I feel like, time. It's just something so sweet and so genuine. And it comes from the writer-director Corey about himself. So did you feel any sense of pressure about portraying this guy who's also directing you?
Yes and no. The yes side of it is the concept itself that this is a story about him, and I felt like, okay, well, if I had made a story, I would want the person to do a spectacular job. So obviously I had a little bit of that pressure, but at the same time, I work me and Corey to a degree co-created this character. He created the concept of the character, and we would have conversations. Well, would Jamie do that? Because I spent a lot of time with the character before we actually started filming. There was a whole week of rehearsal. Thank goodness Corey was kind enough to get basically the entire cast together, with the exception of a couple actors, to rehearse this for almost a full week, rehearsing lines, rehearsing blocking. So I was able to. I was able to form relationships with all of the people in his script, and that made me feel more confident. It was a family, so I felt confident about it.
Yeah. Will, Dan, and Jamie, they all outwardly display their understanding of masculinity in very different ways. So how do you feel like this camping trip that all the characters go on impacted their ideas of what masculinity is?
Well, I think for the one thing that I think is important to touch on is I think it's fair to say that Jamie, especially because of how his brother is, sort of um, exists in an environment at home where it's hard to say if it was completely shunned, but it's not something that people talk about.
Hmm.
And for him to have this crisis is a complete flip flop. It's a complete mind screw. Like, how is this? Is this me? And this internalized homophobia creates a major dichotomy and disparity between what he knows and what he's going through. So I think it's it alters everyone in that cast. I mean, Dan has to confront this kid who's this young kid who is can basically confessing his love, and his cousin is like my cousin's in love with my boyfriend, and his brother is like my brother's a homo. What's up with this? Like it's all sort of crazy metrics, you
Yeah.
know?
You bring up one of, I think it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is the scene between Jamie and Dan in the car at the very end, and it's kind of like the culmination of everything. A lot of movies like this would have this big coming out moment that's like very dramatic, but Big Boys is very simple. So why do you feel like this was the route that Corey decided to go instead of kind of the more grandiose version of a coming out moment?
Well, that's a good question because the way that, to my knowledge, the way that scenes was originally written, or even close to when we actually filmed it, was more comedic,
Oh,
um, and it was originally going to be more lighter and more grandiose and more, ha, I'm gay, sort of thing. Um, but I think, the team made a nice executive decision to focus on how awkward it was and how, I mean, gosh, if you try and put yourself in Jamie's shoes, he's as someone who's figuring out himself at the same time is about to tell this older man that feels a romantic attraction to him. Like that's such a deep thing. It's not to be messed with. It's not to be played with. So I think capturing, sweat on my face, in a situation so tense was absolutely critical.
Yeah. And you mentioned awkward. Jamie is very endearingly awkward. It's very sweet. But did you find it a little difficult to like awkwardness? I feel like comes from uncomfortable, and you had to then manufacture that uncomfortable, awkward nature on set. Did you find that to be difficult?
Uh, no, because I worked, and I will touch on this till the day I die. I worked with a group of people who were so facilitating of an environment for Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
And David, he is such a like a mind-bogglingly good actor who actually is to I think is a method actor. And when you're working with that, he helps me stay grounded. He helped me stay in that awkward mindset where it almost felt like I was uh, admitting my love to David Johnson. So it was awkward for sure.
Yeah, it's easy
Yeah.
to, as a lesbian, I think it would be very easy though to admit my love to David Johnson. He's so charming and so sweet. Um, a lot, Jimmy is as awkward as he is, it's a lot of like word vomiting, but then you have these really sensitive moments where you have to convey so much without words. And like, a similar question to my last one is how do you make that shift so effortlessly, I would say, in the film?
Well, the for me in my life, I think I live in a place where my opinion isn't always the opinion the grandiose opinion isn't always so welcome, and portraying how I really feel in concise and small facial movements and physical expressions is something that I've been able, to become very comfortable with.
Mhm.
And I think I related to Jamie in that way, where I'm like, oh, that's messed up. That's weird, So it sort of came a little easier to me. I was grateful.
Yeah. So as someone who has come out and lived the whole awkward teenage experience, this movie struck quite the chord. And so I imagine in sharing the whole festival circuit that you've had a lot of people come up to you and talk to you about what this film has meant. So do you have any favorite stories or anything like what's it like to be on the receiving end of that sort of appreciation?
That's a great question. Well, I'll start by saying in the beginning, when I first started doing the going to all these festivals, it was very overwhelming, because I was a little bit younger, and yes, I resonated with the role, but I was like, okay, I'm done with this now. I'm gonna go back to my normal life. And there are people 50 plus years old weeping at my knees, like you told the story that I've never seen told, never heard, that's never been told to me. And at first I didn't know how to react, and now I wish I could go back and cry with them. Like it's such a special thing to have been able to be a part of that. Like there's nowhere else in my life I can recreate something like that. So all I can say is I'm so beyond grateful to have been uh, able to tell the story that people have told me that I've told them.
And my last question for you, you have a very exciting few weeks ahead of you. You've got the Independent Spirit Awards. You going to South by Southwest?
That's up in the air.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope I run into you. I will also be there. I'm very excited for Holland.
Okay.
So what are you feeling right now? What are you looking forward to in the next couple weeks?
Well, first off, I went to the brunch a couple
Mm,
weeks back,
yeah.
and that was good. But I went by myself, so I was a little lonely. So I'm going with my family this time, so I'm very happy about that. I can't wait to share this experience with them, and I'm so beyond thrilled to have been nominated for something I don't quite fully comprehend yet. I'm still getting over that. I'm sure that'll hit me. Um, but in terms of South by Southwest, I mean, God, it couldn't have been a better place for this film that the people in that set worked so hard on. I mean, me, Katy, she worked so hard on that. It was like a well-oiled clock. That production, and I'm so happy that it's gonna finally get the recognition it deserved. So hopefully, I do go. I'm not sure yet.
Hopefully, I've never been before, but I've heard it's a great time, so I'm excited. Hope to see you there too. All right. Well, thank you so much, Isaac, and good
Of
luck.
course. Thank
Congrats
you.
on everything, and I really enjoyed the film.
I'm so glad. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.